Kalalau Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel. Blessings unto those men. And blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing this word in all sincerity and honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Today's lesson, Fortress Iran. And here we have an article from nationalinterest.org that says, what makes Iran powerful? Think of it as a fortress. Now, this article is old and written in 2019, as you can see here, but it goes to show that Iran's geography is a natural, rugged fortress. That's the reason why it has been nicknamed Fortress Iran. Now, here under its key point, it goes on to say, key point, history and geography guides Iran's strategic necessities. To understand Iran, you must begin by understanding how large it is. Iran is the 17th largest country in the world. It measures 1,684,000 square kilometers. That means that its territory is larger than the combined territories of France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, and Portugal, Western Europe. Iran is the 16th most populous country in the world, with about 70 million people. Its population is larger than the populations of either France or the United Kingdom. But now, in 2026, the current population of the Islamic Republic of Iran is now 93,032,650 as of Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. The article continues to say, under the current circumstances, it might be useful to benchmark Iran against Iraq or Afghanistan. Iraq is 433,000 square kilometers with about 25 million people. So Iran is roughly 4 times as large and 3 times as populous. Afghanistan is about 652,000 square kilometers with a population of about 30 million. One way to look at it is that Iran is 68% larger than Iraq and Afghanistan combined, with 40% more population. And when it comes to Iran's geography, the rugged terrain itself is tough upon military forces due to those 1,000-foot cliffs. And by the time the military gets through the terrain, they will be struck by incoming rockets and artillery. And this is one of the things that Colonel McGregor pointed out upon his video.
So if you think you're going to go on an island and then hold it for what? What's the benefit? How does it help you? And see, from the Iranian standpoint, they're probably sitting there asking themselves, how could we be this stupid? And we shouldn't get confused. We're not saying that Marines or soldiers or anybody else are not good, solid people that are well-trained and reasonably well-led, I hope, and disciplined. It's not the point. It's what are they going to do when they get there? And how much can you expect of them? So that's why I go back to this thing of, well, we'll seize the islands. Now, if you look at the straits, and this is very hot, very important. I just wrote a piece on Substack that goes into some detail on this. If you go through all the thinking and then you say, well, I'm going to introduce ground troops and I'm going to seize the straits. What does that mean? If you look at the sides of the strait, in other words, the coastline, you're talking about 1,000 feet of cliff. In other words, this is an uphill climb in the worst sense of the word. Are you then going to land troops further to the east and then make the long march around to take it from the landward side? I mean, what are you doing? If you're going to put them on an island, once they're sitting on the island, what kind of control or influence are they going to assert? And the answer is none, because the place will be pulverized. It'll be covered by rockets and missiles. Anything on it will be exterminated. I mean, that's the easy thing to do. What else would you do? Now, of course, if you're going to make the argument that the Iranians are running out of missiles, which reminds me of the Russian army running out of missiles and rockets and so forth, then maybe it's fine. Maybe you could go there and open the chaise lounge chair and take in some sun. But the point is, I don't think so. And I don't think that you can stop from 150 kilometers away all sorts of weapons being launched against those sites. And again, we're back to persistent surveillance. What are you going to do that's going to fool anybody? Where are you going to stage forces? Are you going to try and stage them in Kuwait, in Bahrain? Are you going to try and stage out of Oman? I doubt seriously the Omanis will be receptive to that idea. Are you going to try and stage out of the UAE? Anywhere you go or you try to mass forces, it's going to be picked up, it's going to be targeted, and you're going to be brought under effective fire. So the problem with all of this is, do we have these capabilities? Yeah, we got lots of light infantry. Much of it's good. It'll go where you send it. But what are you asking it to do? And I think at the moment we're asking them to do the impossible, to exert control over geography that they can't control. It's not a question of are there not enough of them? It's simply a question of surveillance and strike. And if you don't have that advantage, if you can't rob the enemy of ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and you can't defeat his intermediate range or tactical ballistic missiles and so forth, what are you going to do? Perhaps we're going to have to go through this in order to learn this lesson the hard way.
But remember what the scripture of Isaiah 95 has said. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. These wars that you are seeing now are being fought by drones and with solid fuel missiles. But let's begin with the scripture of Isaiah 95. Here we have the scripture of Isaiah 95. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. The battles of ancient warriors came with much confused noise. The confused noise of battle cries along with the banging of weapons against shields was heard. The rattling noise of battle formations was heard. The clanging of swords and of shields shattering was also heard in those ancient times. The piercing of armor was heard, along with the screams of the injured and of the dying. Even the sounds of trumpets have been used throughout history to warn of incoming dangers and also to prepare for war. Those trumpets were also used to exert power and to have control over the troops. And what I'm trying to say is that ancient wars were fought mano a mano. But in this modern time period, the confused noise that many shall hear will be with much burning and fuel of fire. It will be a different war based upon propulsion and guidance systems. And that destructive noise of the missiles upon detonation shall be heard as they strike all their strategic targets, but much death shall come due to that burning and fuel of fire of the missiles. Now, solid fuel missiles do not need to be fueled immediately ahead of launch and are often easier and safer to operate and require less logistical support, as you can clearly see here. But when it comes to that destructive Third World War that shall take place, it will be fought at the push of a button. And once those arrows of mass destruction are shot forth out of their respective silos, they shall kill millions upon detonation. So yes, that destructive war that shall come will be with much burning and fuel of fire. And it shall come quickly right after they implement the CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16. Now, when it comes to Iran, its mountainous geography, vast territory, and decentralized defense strategy make it a large-scale invasion extremely complex. It makes that large-scale invasion extremely complex, you see? Iran is one of the hardest countries to invade. And that's why it's been nicknamed Fortress Iran. Plus, the scripture of 2 Esdras 15:30 has said that the Carmanians would come in great power. And in that beginning stage of the war, they are now showing their military power. They have underestimated Iran, and therefore they are losing because of it. But here we have 2 Esdras 15:30. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Right. The modern day Assyrian is Edom. But the Carmanians represent the Iranian wild boars of Iran. The Iranians of today are the Persians, and it is prophesied that they shall come with great power. And you are seeing those beginning stages. And when it comes to Iran, they should not be underestimated, but they have been underestimated. Remember that Iran has an enormous arsenal at their disposal. Many think that they are losing their weapons, but no. They have underground cities that interconnect with one another. And they have very sophisticated and accurate theater ballistic missiles with a range of 1,200 miles. And they also have tactical ballistic missiles, those TBMs. They also have cruise missiles, unmanned systems, and those cheap drones that are causing much damage. And this scripture of 2 Esdras 15:30 has said that the Carmanians shall rage in wrath, and with great power shall they come. And you are seeing the beginning stages of that great power, of that greater power. And when it comes to this American-Israeli versus Iran tensions, they are now extremely high. They are even more higher now than they were before. Now, if Iran was to get attacked or invaded by the West, that will automatically draw out the Russians to war. Right, because Russia is now providing unprecedented level of military aid and technical support to Iran. They're feeding them with intel. So any attack on Iran will definitely draw out the Russians. So we are no longer living in the time of peace, but of war. Also, the time approaches when the allies of America shall betray them. Right, those 10 horns. Once they implement that CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16, that third world war cometh quickly. Now, when it comes to Iran, they claim that they do not have arrows of mass destruction. But with this new leader, that could very well change. But they do possess the know-how on how to make them. Iran possesses nuclear capability. They know how to make them. But I believe that they already have one, stored away somewhere, deep in their mountainous region. Because they're not going to make it at the last minute of World War III. And plus, Russia could also supply them with those weapons needed. This also goes into that prophecy of let the weak say, I am strong. And we are telling you what's going to go down in these last days. The Iranians are winning this war, and they are bringing it. And when it comes to the scriptures, it has spoken of love and also of hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Let's go over to Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, which says, here we have that scripture of Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Now, everything has a time and a season. This scripture of Ecclesiastes 3 and 8 is a scripture of perfect balance. The opposite of love is hate, and the opposite of war is peace. But we are no longer living in the time of peace, but of war. And even if they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction falleth upon them. We are no longer living in time of peace, but of war. Babylon the Great, which is America, now finds herself being hated by all nations. But once they implement that CHIP of Revelation 13:16 through 18, that third world war cometh quickly. With that being said, Kalalau Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Brakta, Shalom.